9 months after soldiers land someplace, there are babies born. It's a fact of life. And these were children that nobody wanted. The Asiatic people did not want these children. American people did not want these children. Nobody wanted them. They were, the newborn mixed-race children were placed in hospitals in Japan and China also, in large rooms, hospitals, in cribs, and there would be a loudspeaker that went lub-dub, 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 to make them think they were still in utero.
Oh my gosh.
Because there was nobody to love them, there was nobody to take care of these children. These were unwanted children. These were children that had no place to go, no place to be. And she felt very strongly about this. This was something that she wanted to do something about. And so this is how Welcome House occurred. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that's fine. So then, I'm sure you discussed how she felt about being a professional woman in a man's world. How was that?
Yes, she, whenever she met her editors or people involved in the publication of her books or people involved in her world, they were mostly men. And she would be, you know, one time she said there was a meeting of all these people, and she was the only woman there. And one of the men said, "Oh well, no, we're among men here, so we can talk about them." And she said, "Hey, I'm here." You know, that kind of attitude that she felt that as a woman she was ostracized. She was not part of the big world.
And what was her view of American men?
Very poor. She did not, well, I shouldn't have, maybe that's a little too strong, but no, she was not impressed by the educational system in America. She was not impressed by the societal system in America, that she felt that men were not mature, that they didn't appreciate, I don't know how else to explain it, that men were not equal to men in other cultures. I think that was part of it, that most American men were, how should I say, not simple, but immature, that's the word, yes, immature. That there was no solid personality. I don't know how else to phrase it.
I think that's a good phrase. How did she feel about her Nobel Prize?
About what?
Her Nobel Prize.
She was astounded. I mean, well, first of all, she was very proud to have been nominated and to have won the Nobel Prize, and to go and meet the King of Norway was, for her, was an amazing thing. That she was a writer. She loved to write, but she just never thought of herself as a famous writer. She was a very humble person. You know, she didn't sing her praises. And for her to win the Nobel Prize was a very amazing feat and something very special.
I mean, it certainly was.
It certainly was.
Yes.
Right.
Then, so we've talked about men and women and relationships. How about you as a mother? Did she respect your role as a mother?
I think so. I think so. At the time, as I said, my husband was in graduate school, so we were living as caretakers. We had no income. We were struggling, really struggling, and I think she admired that. I think that was something that she felt that I was a good person to allow my husband to do this.
And did she encourage encourage you to
Yes.
maybe do more?
Very much so, very much so. See, the only thing I can say is that we were good friends. We were honest with each other. We were, you know, I revealed my inner thoughts and she revealed hers. So we were close.
And that's very special.
When
we
you know,
talk.
yes, I guess I never thought, well, I did think of it as something very special, but we were friends. That's all I can say.
And just, it's amazing, this woman is so well known and, you know,
Oh,
receiving
absolutely.
the Nobel Prize and.
You know, even now when I tell people, though now people say, who's she? I hate that. I hate that. I get very upset.
We can work on that. So we talked and you have told us, you know, all the things you learned from her. And I remember asking you, I said, if you could say, what's the greatest lesson you learned? Do you remember that? I have it here if you don't remember. You said acceptance. Remember that?
I think that probably is accepting people for who they are, accepting circumstances for the way they are, accepting life, accepting the good things in life and accepting the bad things in life. That to be stronger, to be strong enough to overcome the handicaps, to be strong enough to overcome whatever is affecting you.
And you talked about your parallel experiences.
Well, the parallel experiences was she grew up in China, and China was invaded by Japan. I grew up in France, which was invaded by Germany. So we were, in that sense, we went through similar experiences. She came to America as a foreigner. America was not her home country. I came to America as a foreigner. So in that sense, we did, you know, our lives were parallel.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, and then finally, so how was her French?
Actually, I was very surprised how good it was. She had gone to school in Switzerland, in a French-speaking school in Switzerland, and her French was fluent. I mean, occasionally I would have to correct her. You know, she did not know how to conjugate verbs or how to, well, certain idiomatic expressions. But all in all, we managed our conversations quite well. And again, because I had read her book, I said, well, this week I read such and such. She knew what we were talking about, and it helped her think in French, think about the plot of the book, think about the characters, so that I think helped her in the conversation.
So you would give her an A+? Well, I mean, that comes to the end of our interview. I mean, it's just amazing to be sitting here with someone who was sitting with Pearl Buck.
Well, it was an honor for me. It was for me, it was something, you know, just, it doesn't happen to me.
No, it certainly doesn't.
It just, miraculous. I don't know how else to express it. It was something really special. And, you know, just driving up here, coming into the place, I got tears in my eyes. It's just very, very moving. And I really appreciate, you know, I appreciate the fact that I'm able to share this with you.
Finally.
Because
Finally, she's talking.
Yep, you've got to tell them about the plumber.
The plumber.
The story about the plumber.
This was an incident that she told me about. She was married. This was always her property. She bought this house. Her husband had nothing to do with it. And so one day a plumber came and they had some kind of problems with the plumbing. And so she opens the door to the plumber and he says, I want to speak to your husband about the leak. And she said, why do you want to speak to my husband? I own this house, it's my house. What do you think about the plumbing?
That says a lot. That says a lot.
Exactly.
It does.
Tell,
Go ahead. Tell them about the clock.
And the clock in the library.
Oh,
No clock in the library.
oh, right. Okay, right, so we would meet in the library occasionally, so if we were not in our bedroom, we were in the library. And one of the things she said about the library, said, you notice there's no clock in here. I said, well, no, I haven't noticed, but, yeah, she said, I do not want a clock in the library because people who read should not be stopped from reading.
Not worried
So
about
that was
time.
how she felt. That reading was a very important thing, and there should not be, you shouldn't be dictated by time.
Absolutely. How wonderful.
Thank you. No, as I said, this was a very special friendship that we had, and I'm glad to share it with you.
We
I
are
really
thrilled.
am.
tell why we stopped. They did end, the lessons ended. Tell why we stopped, or you stopped, not me.
Oh, so my hearing aid is turned off. Okay, the reason we stopped the lessons was very simply because she was involved with the dancing master. And we would try to, I would be invited in the barn. He came originally to give dancing lessons to the girls, not to her. But then, I don't know if she asked him or he asked her, but anyway, she ended up having the dancing lessons. And
Mom.
he took over Friday evenings.
But-
So I was no longer necessary.
But Mom, you were pregnant and you had a baby. And it was during this time she had my sister. And we moved to Kutztown because my father finally got a job in Kutztown as a professor. But that's what I remember that.
Thank you for
But Mom used to drive from Kutztown up to here. I don't know if it was Fridays then, but she still did come back until the dance lessons stood. But she was 9 months pregnant coming to Pearl Buck's house also, on top of everything else, driving a stick shift car that she had just learned to drive.
I remember one night driving from Kutztown to here, it was so foggy I could barely see the road. And I got here and I knocked at the door and the girl said, no, Mom's going to bed. She doesn't want this. But that didn't happen too often. No, it was still, to me, it was still such an honor. It was such an amazing thing. And I'm really happy to be able to share this with you. Because I'd like to think that she becomes more real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in a very different way.
Oh,
Yes.
right. I mean, I loved her. Just coming in the driveway, I got tears in my eyes. And when I saw her grave, I have to say that I got tears in my eyes. She was my friend. She was a beautiful person. It was such an honor. So sometimes I have to pinch myself so that I really knew Pearl Buck. And I knew her well.
That's wonderful. I think that's it.
So I'll answer questions if you have questions, anything that you might have. But before I do, I have to put a little battery in my hearing.